A long time ago, before the great flood covered the world, before God's judgment came upon mankind, there was a righteous man chosen by God. He was wise, a great craftsman, and God looked upon him with favor. The Lord took him so he could see the wonders of heaven, the highest dwelling place of God, and witness the great and unchanging realm of the Almighty. He saw the ranks of God's mighty angels, shining brighter than the sun. The throne of the Lord, surrounded by endless light, the order of creation, set in divine harmony, the appearances of heavenly beings, and the indescribable songs of the cherubim, and the glory that no human had ever seen. His name was Enoch, son of Jared. He revealed the truth about the 10 heavens. God took him there, and everything he saw, he wrote in the Second Book of Enoch. Now, let us explore his divine journey. When Enoch was 165 years old, he had a son named Methuselah. After that, he lived another 200 years, making his total lifespan 365 years. On the first day of the month, while resting alone in his house, he fell asleep. As he slept, a great fear came upon him, and he wept, not knowing why. Then he saw 2 mighty beings unlike anything on earth. Their faces shone like the sun, their eyes burned like fire, and flames came from their mouths. They were dressed in radiant garments, purple in color, and their wings shone brighter than gold. Their hands were whiter than snow. They stood at the head of his bed and called his name. Enoch woke up and saw them clearly. He was terrified, and his face changed from fear. But the men said, "Do not be afraid, Enoch. Have courage. The eternal God has sent us to you. Today you will come with us to heaven. But first, tell your sons and your household what they must do in your absence. No one should look for you until the Lord returns you to them." Enoch quickly obeyed. He left his house, gathered his sons Methuselah, Regem, and Gadad, and told them about the message he had received. "Listen to me, my children. I do not know where I am going or what will happen to me, but I tell you this: do not turn away from God to follow those who did not create heaven and earth, for they will perish along with those who worship them. May the Lord strengthen your hearts to always fear him, and remember, do not look for me until the Lord brings me back." When Enoch had finished speaking, the angels lifted him up on their wings and carried him to the first heaven, placing him upon the clouds. From there, he looked up and saw the vast sky above him. Then they took him further, where he saw a great sea, bigger than any sea on earth. They brought him before the elders and rulers of the heavens, showing him 200 angels who governed the stars and their movements, flying through the heavens as they guided those who sailed the skies. Then I looked down and saw great storehouses of snow, guarded by angels who watched over them. I also saw the clouds, where they come from and where they return. They then showed me the storehouse of dew, which looked like olive oil, and its appearance was as beautiful as all the flowers of the earth. Many angels guarded these places, ensuring they opened and closed at the right time. After that, the angels took me and led me to the second heaven, where I saw a darkness greater than any darkness on earth. There, I saw prisoners hanging, watching, and waiting for the final judgment. These angels were dark and terrifying, more dreadful than anything on earth. They were constantly weeping without end. I asked the angels with me, "Why are they being tortured like this?" They answered, "These are the ones who turned away from God, disobeyed his commands, and followed their own will. They joined their leader, who is now bound in the fifth heaven." I felt great sorrow for them, and they called out to me, saying, "Man of God, pray for us to the Lord." But I replied, "Who am I, just a mortal man, to pray for angels? I do not know where I am going or what will happen to me. Who will pray for me?" Then the angels took me from there and led me to the third heaven and placed me there. When I looked down, I saw a land full of goodness beyond anything known. I saw trees filled with sweet-smelling fruit, and all the food they produced gave off a wonderful fragrance. At the center of it all was the tree of life, in the very place where the Lord rests when he enters paradise. This tree was beyond description, Its beauty and scent were unlike anything else. Its appearance shimmered like gold and red fire, covering everything around it. It bore every kind of fruit, and its roots extended to the farthest ends of the earth. Paradise lies between what can perish and what cannot. From this place, 2 springs flow, one of honey and milk, and the other of oil and wine. These waters separate into 4 rivers, flowing gently through paradise and down into the Garden of Eden, continuing their journey around the earth just as the other elements do. Here, every tree is fruitful and every place is blessed. There are 300 shining angels who guard this garden, singing sweet, endless songs of praise to the Lord day and night. I said, "How wonderful is this place?" And the angels with me said, "This place, Enoch, is prepared for the righteous, those who endure hardship from others, who turn away from evil and judge fairly, who feed the hungry, clothe the naked, help the weak, care for orphans, and walk blamelessly before God, serving Him alone. For them, this place is their eternal reward." Then they led me to the northern side, where I saw a terrible place. There were all kinds of suffering, deep darkness, a dreadful gloom without light, and flames rising constantly. A river of fire flowed through it, and the entire place burned with fire, yet there was also freezing cold, thirst, and endless shivering. The chains here were cruel and unbreakable. The angels in this place were terrifying, without mercy, holding weapons of punishment. I cried out, "Oh no, this place is so dreadful." The angels said to me, "This place, Enoch, is for those who dishonor God, those who commit unnatural sins and corrupt children, those who practice magic, enchantments, and evil sorcery, those who take pride in their wickedness, stealing, lying, harming others, spreading jealousy, immorality, and murder, those who are cursed because they destroy the souls of others, those who steal from the poor to make themselves rich and harm others for personal gain, those who have enough to feed the hungry but let them starve, those who could clothe the naked but leave them to suffer, those who do not know their Creator and instead worship lifeless, powerless idols, false gods made by human hands. For all these, this place is their eternal punishment." Then the angels took me up to the 4th heaven, where I saw the movements of the sun and moon. I measured their paths and saw that the sun's light was brighter than the moon's. The sun moved on wheels, traveling as fast as the wind, never resting, going forward and returning with great speed. It was accompanied by 4 great stars, each leading 1,000 smaller stars, 4 on the right and 4 on the left, making 8,000 stars that traveled with the sun each day. 15,000 angels attended to it, and at night, 1,006 winged angels went ahead of it into the flames. 100 angels kept the sun burning. Then I saw other heavenly creatures, the phoenixes and Kalkadri, marvelous and beyond description. They had feet and tails like lions, heads like crocodiles, and their bodies shone like rainbows. They were 900 measures tall and had 12 wings each, like angels. These creatures traveled with the sun, carrying heat and dew as God commanded them. The sun moves in a cycle, rising and setting beneath the sky, and its light never stops shining. The angels took me to the east, where the sun's gates are located, the place where the sun begins its journey each day, following the changing seasons and months of the year. I saw 6 large gates, each measuring 61 stadia and a quarter, through which the sun passes as it moves across the sky. The sun rises and sets through these gates in a precise pattern, adjusting according to the seasons until the full year is completed, marking the passage of 4 seasons. Then the angels led me to the west, where I saw another set of 6 great gates, mirroring the ones in the east. These are the gates where the sun sets at the end of each day. The full cycle of the sun lasts 365 and a quarter days. At sunset, the sun's light is withdrawn as it descends beneath the earth, but its radiant crown remains in heaven with the Lord. 400 angels guard the sun as it moves underground on its wheel, where it remains for 7 great hours of the night. Then, During the 8th hour, it approaches the east once more, bringing back its light. As it emerges, it shines brighter than fire. At that moment, the heavenly creatures called phoenixes and Hal-Kidri burst into song. Every bird flutters its wings in joy, celebrating the giver of light. They sing at the Lord's command, saying, "The giver of light comes to brighten the whole world." Then, the morning light takes form as the sun's rays shine upon the earth, illuminating all of creation. The angels showed me how the sun moves through the great gates that measure the hours of the year. The full cycle of the sun lasts 28 years, after which it starts again. Then, the angels showed me the moon's gates, 12 large gates through which the moon moves from west to east, following its appointed times. Each month, the moon enters through these gates in a precise order. First gate, 31 days second gate, 31 days third gate, 30 days fourth gate, 30 days fifth gate, 31 days sixth gate, 31 days seventh gate, 30 days eighth gate, 31 days ninth gate, 31 days 10th gate, 30 days 11th gate, 31 days 12th gate, 28 days. The moon follows this pattern through the western gates, mirroring the eastern gates, completing 365 and a quarter days for the solar year. However, the lunar year is only 354 days, making it 12 days shorter than the solar year. These missing days are called the lunar epochs. The full cycle of time lasts 532 years. The missing quarter of a day is not counted for 3 years, but in the 4th year it is corrected. For this reason, these extra fractions of time are kept outside of heaven for 3 years and are not added to the days, as they shift the yearly cycle, causing 2 extra months to be added and 2 months to be shortened. When the sun completes its journey through the western gates, it returns to the eastern gates, moving through the sky, day and night. It travels along the heavenly circles, lower than all other celestial paths, yet faster than the winds, spirits, elements, and even the flying angels. Each angel has 6 wings, and the sun completes its 7-fold cycle every 19 years. In the middle of the heavens, I saw armed soldiers serving the Lord. They played drums and organs, singing in voices so sweet and beautiful that no words could describe them. Their singing was so wonderful and awe-inspiring that I was filled with joy just listening to them. Then the angels took me to the 5th heaven and placed me there. I saw many soldiers, so many that they could not be counted. They were called Grigori, and they looked like humans, but they were taller than giants. Their faces were lifeless and sorrowful, and they stood in complete silence. There was no worship or service in this heaven. I asked the angels with me, "Why do they look so sorrowful? Why are they silent? And why is there no worship here?" They answered, "These are the Grigori, who followed their leader, Satanael, and turned away from the Lord of Light. The ones who are now imprisoned in the 2nd heaven also followed them into darkness." 3 of these angels left the Lord's throne and descended to earth, to a place called Urban. There, they broke their oath on the Hillman. They saw the daughters of men and desired them, taking them as wives. Through them, they corrupted the earth with their actions. In their time, they spread evil and lawlessness, and from them, giants were born, massive men full of hatred and destruction. Because of this, God judged them with a great punishment. Now, the Grigori mourn for their fallen brothers, who will face judgment on the Lord's great day. I spoke to the Grigori, saying, "I have seen your brothers, their deeds, and their suffering. I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to remain under the earth until heaven and earth pass away forever." Then I asked them, "Why do you stand here doing nothing? Why do you not serve before the Lord? Do you not fear that your silence will anger him even more?" Hearing my words, they turned and spoke to the 4 great ranks of heaven. Suddenly, 4 trumpets sounded together with a mighty voice, and the Grigori began to sing, their voices rising to the Lord in a sorrowful but beautiful melody. After this, the angels took me higher, up to the 6th heaven. There I saw 7 bands of angels, shining brighter than the sun. Their faces glistened with pure light, and they all looked the same, no difference in their appearance, behavior, or clothing. These angels oversee the movements of the stars, the changes of the moon, the cycle of the sun, and the balance of the world. When they witness evil on earth, they issue commands and instructions to guide people. Their voices never stop singing, and they continually praise the Lord with sweet and powerful songs. These angels are the archangels, higher than ordinary angels. They are responsible for measuring and recording everything that happens in heaven and on earth. In heaven, there are different angels assigned to oversee creation. Angels who control the seasons and years. Angels who watch over rivers and the sea. Angels who care for the fruits of the earth. Angels who make sure grass grows to feed all living things. Angels who record the deeds and lives of every person before the Lord. Among them are 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, 6 six-winged angels who sing together in one voice. Their singing is beyond description, and they rejoice before the Lord at his footstool. Then the 2 angels who guided me lifted me up to the 7th heaven. There I saw an overwhelming light and countless fiery beings. Great archangels, heavenly rulers, powerful forces, thrones, cherubim, seraphim, and angels covered in eyes. There were 9 ranks of heavenly beings, each in their proper place, shining in radiant light. I was terrified and began to tremble, but the angels said to me, "Do not be afraid, Enoch. Have courage." Then they showed me the Lord from afar, seated on his high and mighty throne. Beyond this is the 10th heaven, where God himself dwells. In Hebrew, this place is called Aravoth. All the heavenly beings would approach in ranks, standing on 10 steps according to their order, bowing before the Lord, then returning to their places with joy and gladness. They sang in the endless light, their voices gentle and full of praise, serving the Lord gloriously. The cherubim and seraphim stood around the throne. The 6-winged and many-eyed angels never left their places. They remained before the Lord, carrying out his will, covering his throne with their wings, and singing with a soft heavenly voice. "Holy, holy, holy Lord of Sabaoth! Heaven and earth are filled with your glory." As I saw all these things, the angels with me said, "Enoch, this is as far as we were commanded to bring you." Then they disappeared, and I was left alone at the edge of the 7th heaven. I was terrified and fell on my face, saying, "Woe is me! What is happening to me?" Then the Lord sent one of his mighty angels, Gabriel, who came to me and said, "Have courage, Enoch. Do not be afraid. Stand up and come before the Lord for eternity." But I replied in my heart, "My Lord, my soul has left me because of fear and trembling. I trusted the angels who brought me here, and it was with them that I hoped to stand before you." Then Gabriel lifted me up, as if I were a leaf carried by the wind, and placed me before the Lord's presence. From there, I saw the 8th heaven, called Muzaloth, where the seasons, weather patterns, and 12 constellations are controlled. Then I was taken to the 9th heaven, called Kuchavim, where the heavenly homes of the 12 constellations are found. Finally, I reached the 10th heaven, the highest of all, known as Aravoth. There I saw the face of the Lord, like glowing metal taken from fire, burning and sending out sparks. I saw the Lord's face, but it was beyond human understanding, wonderful, fearful, and more powerful than anything imaginable. Who am I to describe the indescribable? Who can explain the greatness of the Lord's presence? I could not count the Lord's many instructions or describe the sound of his countless voices. His throne was vast, beyond human making, and the number of angels around him, cherubim, seraphim, and heavenly hosts, was beyond measure. Their unceasing songs and his unchanging beauty were beyond words. Who could describe the greatness of his glory? I fell to the ground, bowing before the Lord. Then the Lord spoke to me with his own lips, saying, "Have courage, Enoch. Do not be afraid. Stand before me for all eternity." Then the archangel Michael lifted me up and led me before the Lord's presence. The Lord turned to his heavenly servants and tested them, saying, "Let Enoch stand before me forever." The glorious angels bowed down and responded, "Let Enoch remain according to your word." Then the Lord commanded Michael, "Take away Enoch's earthly clothes and anoint him with my fragrant oil. Dress him in the garments of my glory." Michael did as the Lord instructed. He anointed me, and the oil was brighter than the greatest light, its fragrance as sweet as morning dew, shining like the rays of the sun. When I looked at myself, I had become like one of the glorious angels. Then the Lord called one of his archangels, Pravuil, who had greater wisdom than the other angels. Pravuil was the one who recorded all of the Lord's works. The Lord said to Pravuil, "Bring out the books from my storehouses and give Enoch a swift writing reed. Give him the most sacred and comforting books from your hands." Pravuil began teaching me everything about heaven, earth, and the sea, about the elements and their movements, about the thunder and lightning, the sun and moon, their paths and cycles, the stars, seasons, years, days and hours, the winds and their directions, and the number of the angels and the songs they sing. He also taught me about humanity, every language, every song, every law, every command, and all the wisdom needed to understand these things. Then Pravuil said, "Enoch, now write down everything you have learned. Write about all human souls, everyone ever born, and the places prepared for them for eternity. For all souls were created before the world was made, and each soul has its appointed time." I wrote down everything exactly as it was revealed to me, and completed 366 books. Then the Lord called me and said, "Enoch, sit at my left with Gabriel." I bowed before the Lord, and he spoke to me, saying, "Enoch, my beloved, I will tell you everything you see, all that has been completed. Even before the beginning, I created all things from nothing. I made the invisible become visible, and I formed the physical from what was unseen. Listen, Enoch, and understand my words, for I have not shared these secrets even with my angels. I have not revealed to them the origins of my kingdom or how my creation came to be, but I will tell you today. Before anything could be seen, I alone existed in the unseen, moving like the sun across the sky, from east to west and west to east. Yet, unlike the sun, which rests in its place, I found no rest, for I was creating all things. I had already planned to lay the foundations of the world and bring creation into existence. And so, Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens came to an end. He traveled through realms of light and glory, saw the prisons of fallen angels, explored the storehouses of the stars, and stood before the very throne of God. He witnessed wonders beyond human understanding, the divine order of creation, the judgment for the wicked, and the eternal reward for the righteous. Through it all, one truth is clear: God reigns over all heaven and earth. Enoch was chosen to see and write down these revelations, not just for himself, but for all future generations. His message is one of warning, hope, and divine truth. Now, the question is, what will we do with this knowledge? Will we choose righteousness and prepare our hearts for God's eternal kingdom? Or will we ignore these heavenly mysteries and turn away? The Book of Enoch gives us a glimpse of God's majesty, justice, and eternal plan. May we walk in faith, seek the Lord, and live in a way that honors Him. Then, when our time comes, may we stand before His throne, clothed in His glory, just as Enoch was. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Enoch's 10 heavens. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more biblical insights. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Shalom.